Shalom, giving all praises to Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, double honor to apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, and may Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai's peace be with you elect out there, because of hell with this world of what it's got to offer. Alright, I'm your brother Yahweh Call from Great Millstone, Orlando, and as the title says, prophecy, the way that it's coming together, it's not looking too good, and when I say that, it's not looking too good for people that are ungodly, the wicked. Because it's obviously, of course, it's looking good for us. It's looking great for us. Keep prophecy keeping us on our toes, right? But like it says in 2 Ezra 15, the people, they're going to die in their unfaithfulness. All right, because regardless, Yahweh Bashim Shah's words are going to come to pass. All right, scriptures talk about the Lord, the Heavenly Father's immutable counsel, his unwavering counsel. All right, so regardless of how anyone feels, hey, the words of the Lord are going to come to pass. So with that being said, as always, there's a lot going on. If you're not sleeping under a rock, there's a lot going on. As I've been saying, it's not a matter of any day now, or Salakia, it's not a matter of time, it's any day now. Any day now, anything can pop off, man. What mainly comes to mind, the inspiration for doing this video, man, was these reports about the IDF soldiers basically merging with Babylon's military, man. And man, that's going to be something, with all the reports and videos coming out of these IDF soldiers. Just the atrocious acts that they've been committing, and specifically to those Palestinians. People getting taken against their will on camera. Gang raped, and so on and so forth. You had the one IDF soldier being interviewed, right? He was bragging about the things that he was doing to the Palestinians, having their way with dead bodies, children, and so on and so forth. And the dude that was interviewing him, he was telling him, I got you on video, right? And basically that Amalekite, man, he was like, man, I don't care. Basically, that's the spirit that he was coming out. I don't care. Laughing about it, and so on and so forth. So with all that being said, man, the way that this is coming together, man, hey, it's not looking good for these Babylonians. Again, the way that prophecy is coming together, it don't look good for these people. All right, for the ungodly. Again, 2 Ezra 15, the ungodly, they're going to perish in their unbelief. So just knowing how those IDF soldiers, man, how they get down. I saw the Elder Damasha Potts video going into how, the house being houses and wives being ravished, right? Speaking on what I'm talking about right now, I'm pretty much laying backing off of certain of his points. So hey, this shit is real, man. It's getting more real. It reminds me of what when Yahweh Shai was going through that, when he was getting ready to be offered up as that sacrifice, going through that dark hour, his dark moment. The events leading up to it, right? He's praying 3 times, sweat and blood and things of that nature, because it was getting surreal, man. And that's how it is, man. When we sit back and just meditate on, when we see, because these things are not afar off. That's the thing about it. These things are not afar off, man. So when we see things playing out, when we sit back, we're observing, meditating on these things and whatnot. It's surreal. It's like, damn, this shit's really going on. This shit's really about to happen. And to quote 2 Ezra 16, once these plays go out, hey, they're going to hit their intended target. Once those arrows get shot out, man, there's no drawing them back. There's no withdrawing. There's no redacting. And pretty much at this point, the arrows have already been shot. That's how dangerously close we are. The arrows have already been shot. It's just a matter of them hitting their target. So it's just a waiting game at this point. I'm gonna grab this Ezekiel 7:5. Thus saith the Lord, power in evil and only evil, behold, is come. And end is come. And Slaki, you got to read these verses with emphasis. But Jake's tired as hell, you know. But it was really on my spirit to do this video. So again, in Ezekiel 7:5, thus saith the Lord, power in evil and only evil, behold, is come. And end is come. The end is come. It watcheth for thee. Behold, it is come. So prophecy's lurking, man. All right, we're at the tipping point of prophecy, and as we touched on last Friday's camp, man, we at the focal point of prophecy, man. This shit is about to go down, man. So hey, like Michael Myers lurking in the background. Prophecy. Jacob's trouble. Go to this Jeremiah 30. Jeremiah 30. I'll start at 1 and just read through it. The word that came to Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, thus speaketh the Lord, power of Israel, saying, write thee all the words that I have spoken unto thee in a book. And that's why, as the scriptures talk about, eating this roll. And with that being said, it's bitter and sweet, sweet and bitter, because, we are the people of Yahweh Shemashah, the chosen, holy and chosen people, and so on and so forth. The Lord chose us, and all those good things, the Wadi Yahweh Shemashah. But oftentimes, Jake, they don't want to deal with the bitter part. They don't want to deal with the bitter aspect of this thing of ours. But again, regardless of how people feel or whatever the case may be, we're coming into the bitter part of this truth, of this thing of ours. It says, so again, like I said, or as the scriptures say, eating the roll, really dissecting, and as I was saying earlier, really just meditating on these things, soaking it in, as the scriptures talk about, getting our house in order, getting our mind right, just making, just getting right with the how about Shema Shah the best that we can, because how about Shema Shah, he's not playing. He's getting ready to turn his face. He's getting ready to say, that's it. And if the righteous shall scarcely be saved, it's like, God damn. As if brothers don't be going through some oh shit moments as it is. Yahweh Shema Shah really be delivering brothers, man. I was just getting off the plantation today. There's usually not no traffic. But today, there was some heavy traffic. And of course, initially the flesh wants to get all upset because Jake trying to get home. But the spirit kicked in, and the Wadi Yahweh Shema Shah, whatever you're saving me from right now, the water. The Wadi Yahweh Shema Shah. There's usually no traffic on I-4, man. But for whatever reason, I had Yahweh Shema Shah, the water, for whatever you're protecting me from, the water. And sure enough, came upon, I saw debris. I was like, oh, yep, see? I saw debris, like there was a car wreck. And I'm driving in the fast lane. And, I see the vehicle, man, all banged up, totaled through on the far right side, man. So something had happened to where, whatever the case may be, regardless, the Wadi Yahweh Shema Shah, because that could have been my black ass. And not only that, when I got off, as soon as I got off I-4, because there's been a lot of, undercover cops and things of that nature, man. And again, another Wadi Yahweh Shema Shah, undercover cop pulled somebody over, and again, that could have been my black ass. So, it's just really a matter of just being spiritual, man. We are definitely in heavy times. That's why one of the things I always meditate on is when Yahushua looked over Jerusalem and he wept, man, and I always make the point is just how, because we know all Yahushua to be austere, serious. It reminds me of Apostle Gabar, man. Meeting the elder Apostle Gabar in person. Met Apostle Tahar. For the most part, for the most part, apostles, bishops, and elder brothers, and so on and so forth. Hey, Jake talk shit, man. Even Apostle Tahar, he talk shit, man. And I always say, hey, Apostle Tahar, he's cool. Just don't fuck up the doctrine. He'll be cool. You just don't fuck up the doctrine. But Apostle Gabar, when I was up there, man, I barely saw him smile, man. I didn't see Apostle Gabar smile. Apostle Gabar is very serious, very stoic, very serious. Very serious. So, how much more when it comes to Yahushua? Just making a point, man. When Yahushua wept over Jerusalem, as much as we get on 2/3 and the hell with 2/3 and this and that, but it's like, damn, like Yahushua said, or Slaki, like Yahushua, because Jake just didn't know what. If they only knew, if Jake only knew, man, it's pretty much what Yahushua's spirit, his mindset, man. If only Jake knew what was coming to him, man. So just meditating on all these things. Again, we're coming into the bitter aspect of this truth. We're in serious times, very serious times, man. We're not gonna be doing these videos forever, man. That's what Jake thinks, that we're just gonna be rocking fringes until the kingdom come. Nah, man, we got to go through this time of Jacob's trouble, as I'm reading here in Jeremiah 30:3. For lo, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will bring again the captivity of my people Israel and Judah, saith the Lord, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it. But of course, pursuant to Acts 14:22, through much tribulation. All right, through much tribulation. It's only through this tribulation will we be able to enter into this rest, paradise. As the scriptures say, we go through the straight, hope for the wide. It says, and these are the words that the Lord spake concerning Israel and Judah. For thus saith the Lord, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. So, you can read on down, but this is pretty much the point. It talks about already when you read on down. Matter of fact, verse 6, ask ye now and see whether a man do travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces turned into paleness. So what type of fear, is going to make a grown man cry? What type of fear, terror is Yahweh Shemal Shai? Because again, to echo off of the Elder Damashapat's video that he did, speaking on these IDF soldiers merging with Babylon's military, a lot of men are going to be getting taken too. And I've said this some years ago, how, during that time, you're gonna think you're gonna hear somebody getting raped, man. You're gonna think it's a woman, a full-blown woman, but it's gonna be a whole 6'4", 250-pound buff Brock Lesnar looking dude getting that cock carousel. Men gonna be out here getting raped too, man. And when you watch this, it's a 1 hour special of the Punisher, man. It's spiritual, a spiritual gem, a good watch. Basically civil unrest. All right, neighbor against neighbor, sedition. All right. And there was a particular scene. Basically it was another Diego's night scene, man. Buddies ran up in that house, man. Hey, my man Frank Council came in just in time. You had the son, just defenseless. He was sitting in the corner, leave my mama alone. He couldn't do nothing. Had his mama's legs over his shoulder and everything, man. They were about to pop her ass, man. Legs in the air and everything, man. Until my boy Frank Council came through. They were about to do ass, man. So just again, meditating on these things, meditating on all the atrocities of these Amalek, man, in particular, the IDF soldiers, man. Again, brothers was talking about this on Saturday night. The fellowship, man. Hey, it's starting to make sense. Brothers was talking like, damn, it's starting to make sense, man. Knowing how cruel those Amalek can be, and because just alone, look at what they're doing to those Palestinians, those heathens, those other heathens. You know, bombing schools. You had them Amalek, man. They were sitting up outside of hospitals, man, sniping everybody, just sniping people, man. It's just wicked, man. Just wicked. You know, hey. So with all that being said, it's only making sense. It only makes sense how this prophecies coming together, houses ran through, women ravished. It's all coming together, man. It's all making sense. But this is by the elder brother Isaiah. Ecclesiastes 21:20. A fool lifteth up his voice with laughter, but a wise man doeth scarce smile a little. And as I mentioned on Apostle Gabar, I even caught myself lately, just really just serious, man. Just serious. Just taking things serious, man. It's a level of borderline paranoia, if that makes sense. That's the best way I could put it. People are coming around your car. You sit in the car. People coming around your car. Man, you got to be on point. It's just, man. Every little thing. You just on point. It just makes you on point. You get in defense mode, man. But that's just how the times that we're in. It's just in serious times. So again, what type of fear is Yahweh Shema Shai going to bring that's going to turn these people's faces into paleness? What type of terror is Yahweh Shema Shai going to bring? Well, we're going to hear it soon, man. Slaki, we're going to see it soon, real soon. Go to this. Habakkuk 1:6. For lo, I raise up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation, which shall march through the breadth of the land to possess the dwelling places that are not theirs. So that sounds like other certain parts of the scriptures, such as what I quoted. All right, neighbor against neighbor. Scriptures talk about second edges, how people are going to be traveling through, city to city, neighborhood to neighborhood, house to house, man, looking for resources. And a lot of you people are going to become the resource as well. You reading in Jeremiah 15, right? Talks about how people are going to be captivity to captivity, not only in the concentration camps, but like I said, a lot of people are going to become the resource, the booty. A lot of people are going to become the spoil. Whether it's either going to be for food or for these people's own pleasure. If you know what I'm saying. So reading on to verse 7. They are terrible and dreadful. Their judgment and their dignity shall proceed of themselves. Their horses also are swifter than the leopards, and are more fierce than the evening wolves. And their horsemen shall spread themselves, and their horsemen shall come from far. They shall fly as the eagle that hasteth to eat. They shall come all for violence. Their faces shall sup up as the east wind, and they shall gather the captivity as the sand. Man, so needless to say, it's going to get disgusting out here, man. You almost want to feel bad for these people, man. But hey, as I always say humbly, Lord willing, fuck these people, better them than me, and hopefully like brothers and sisters to help these people. Because as I've said before, me, I've just the Lord has just been giving me a certain spirit to where, hey, man, just as far as being merciful, man, that season is that door is closing if it's not closed already. I really just don't. I really can care less about these people anymore, man. I can care less. Jake is tired, man. Jake is tired. But I'm gonna go to this too. Isaiah 29:6. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder and earthquake, and with earthquake and great noise and storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire. And these things speaks for itself. You know, we got certain places on fire, earthquakes. It speaks for itself. It speaks for itself. But the main point that I wanted to get out of this verse, where it mentioned that great noise, man. And when you go into it, that great noise, it goes into one of the words in the definition. It says a bleeding. And if you ever see because like I said, you know, you're gonna hear what appears to be a woman getting ravished. You know, but it's gonna be a whole, again, Brock Lesnar, 250-pound pure muscle dude getting Alizard, man. You know, getting turned out. And it's gonna be like, damn, I never knew a man can scream like that before. Well, hey, like I said, that great noise, that bleeding. You ever seen a sheep squeal? You know, a goat is similar to a human's cry. You know, you ever seen a sheep, man, just getting eaten alive by a Komodo dragon? You know, because Komodo dragons, for the most part, they just swallow their food alive. They just swallow this shit. Certain animals actually take the time to, you know, chew through or whatever, actually kill the prey or whatever the case may be. But certain animals like Komodo dragons, they just swallow the thing alive. They just grab it and swallow it alive. Meanwhile, the damn goat or the sheep, and it's just screaming. It's just screaming. You can hear it in the stomach. It's just screaming. You know, especially when that Komodo dragon grabs it by a vulnerable point, like a throat. You know, it's just screaming. You know, Komodo dragon just grabs it by the throat, man. He can't do nothing. The sheep can't do nothing but just sit there and squeal, just scream helplessly. Meanwhile, it's getting swallowed alive. You know, and you know, I always say I'm not a tough guy. You know, I always say that. Because with that being said, you know, there's a lot of things don't shake me up. A lot of things don't bother me for the most part. But as I'm describing the bleeding of a sheep or a goat, man, that's one thing you'd you know, like when Jake go through a traumatizing experience, when he sees somebody die for the first time, that's something that you just don't forget, you know. So just making that point, you know, hearing a sheep squeal like that, because like I said, it's similar to a human. You know, that's something that sticks with you. That sticks, at least for me personally, that sticks to your membrane. It's stuck to my membrane. That's something now. That's a noise I'll never forget. You know, because it's just so much similar to a human. You know, it sounds like a woman screaming out in pain. You know, it sounds like a woman that's been in the worst pain that she's ever been in her life, man. You ever see a sheep scream? Well, imagine that. And then some. And a whole male, a whole Ronnie Coleman ass dude getting turned out, screaming like a woman. So as I read that Jeremiah, hey, and certain other scriptures talk about how, hey, men are going to be turned into women. Isaiah 19, Egypt shall be turned into a woman. The mighty man, it's gonna be. So again, what type of fear and terror is Yahweh Shemashai going to bring, man? Because ultimately Yahweh Shemashai is going to turn this place out. He's going to turn these people out. He's going to turn Babylon out, man. So, and it's going to be a slow death, a slow kill. You know. So, like I said, to echo off of the Elder Damasha Potts video. Like, you know, brothers was talking about this last Saturday or this past Saturday at the fellowship, and man, like, damn, you know, shit is just coming together. Prophecy is just coming together. The picture is becoming more and more clear, because those Amalekites, man, them IDF soldiers, they're ruthless. They are ruthless. You know, and like the scriptures talk about how Yahweh Shah put his spirit on the Assyrians. They are the rod of his anger, right? You know, because ultimately Yahweh Shah, man, hey, when these troops come through, man, when these troops come through, they're gonna be like a mindless zombie, man. They're just gonna be, like the saying goes, shoot first, ask questions later. Hey, when these troops come through, they're not even gonna ask questions. They're just gonna have their way with these Babylonians. They're just gonna have their way. They're just gonna have their way. They're gonna be like mindless zombies, but it's gonna be the spirit of Yahweh Shah that's gonna be on them. So it's gonna be Yahweh Shah's indignation, his wrath. You know, so that's what we're getting ready to witness. That's what the world's getting ready to witness. And it's just a matter of what side are we going to be on. The Lord willing, hey, we are on the side to be found in the Lord's mercy, man. Because, listen, we don't want no more smoke, Yahweh Shai. We don't want no more smoke. You know. So, Lord willing, this is edifying, giving all praises to Yahweh Shai. Call Allah Yemi Yahweh Shai. Shalom to you, hopefully elect. Lord willing, until the next one.